the human brain and its secrets. Level B. 2. Upper Intermediate. The human brain is one of the most fascinating and mysterious organs in existence. It is the control center of the body, the source of our thoughts, emotions, memories, and imagination. Even though scientists have studied it for centuries, many of its secrets are still unknown. The brain is small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, yet it contains more connections than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. The brain, a supercomputer inside your head. The brain is made up of about 86 billion nerve cells, called neurons. Each neuron can send and receive electrical signals, forming a vast communication network. These connections allow us to think, learn, move, and feel. Every time you smile, remember a name, or solve a math problem, billions of neurons are firing tiny electrical impulses through your brain. Unlike a computer, which processes data in a predictable way, the human brain is flexible and adaptive. It can reorganize itself after injury, create new connections when learning something new, and even change its structure throughout life. This ability is known as neuroplasticity. Thanks to it, we can acquire new skills, recover from trauma, and adapt to new environments. How the brain works. The brain is divided into several parts, each responsible for different functions. The cerebrum, the largest part, controls thinking, memory, speech, and movement. The cerebellum, located at the back of the brain, manages balance and coordination. The brainstem connects the brain to the spinal cord and controls basic life functions like breathing and heartbeat. The brain is also divided into two hemispheres, the left and the right. The left hemisphere is often linked with logic, language, and analytical thinking, while the right hemisphere is more connected to creativity, emotions, and spatial awareness. However, this division is not absolute. Both sides work together in almost everything we do. The power of memory. Memory is one of the brain's most incredible abilities. It allows us to store and recall information from the face of a friend to the details of an important event. Scientists believe there are three main stages of memory: encoding, when information enters the brain; storage, when it's kept for later; and retrieval, when we recall it. There are also different types of memory. Short-term memory helps us hold information temporarily, like a phone number we just read. Long-term memory can last for years or even a lifetime. Interestingly, each time we remember something, the memory is slightly modified, which means memories are not fixed, but dynamic and changing. The brain and emotions. Our emotions are also controlled by the brain. The limbic system, deep inside the brain, is responsible for feelings like fear, pleasure, anger, and love. When you feel happy, your brain releases chemicals such as dopamine and serotonin. These neurotransmitters influence your mood, motivation, and even physical health. Stress, on the other hand, triggers the release of cortisol, a hormone that prepares the body to react quickly in dangerous situations. However, when stress becomes chronic, high levels of cortisol can damage the brain and affect memory and decision-making. That's why relaxation, meditation, and sleep are so important for brain health. The role of sleep. Sleep is essential for the brain to function properly. While we sleep, the brain processes information gathered during the day, consolidates memories, and removes waste products. Lack of sleep can lead to problems with attention, creativity, and emotional control. Studies show that even one night of poor sleep can reduce concentration and decision-making abilities. During deep sleep, The brain also releases hormones that repair tissues and strengthen the immune system. Dreaming, which occurs during REM, rapid eye movement sleep, is believed to help with emotional balance and problem solving. Although the exact purpose of dreams is still debated, many scientists think they allow the brain to process unresolved emotions and experiences. Brain development and learning. The brain starts developing before birth and continues to change throughout life. In childhood, the brain grows rapidly, forming millions of new connections every second. This is why children learn languages and skills much faster than adults. As we grow older, the number of neural connections decreases, but the remaining ones become stronger and more efficient. Adults may find it harder to learn new things, but their brains are better at recognizing patterns and solving complex problems. Lifelong learning, reading, practicing new skills, or even playing music helps keep the brain active and healthy. The mysteries of consciousness. One of the greatest mysteries of the human brain is consciousness. What does it mean to be aware? How does the brain produce thoughts, feelings, and a sense of self? Despite enormous progress in neuroscience, scientists still can't fully explain how physical brain activity translates into subjective experience, the inner world that each of us lives in. Some theories suggest that consciousness arises from complex patterns of communication between different brain regions. Others believe it might involve quantum processes that we don't yet understand. Whatever the answer, the study of consciousness remains one of the most exciting frontiers of modern science. Creativity and the brain. Creativity is one of the most remarkable expressions of the human brain. Whether it's composing music, painting, writing a story, or designing a new invention, creativity requires the brain to connect ideas in unusual ways. Neuroscientists have found that creative thinking involves both hemispheres of the brain working together, logic and imagination cooperating in perfect balance. When we're creative, our brains often enter a state called flow. It's when we lose track of time, feel deeply focused, and experience effortless concentration. During this state, brain activity becomes highly efficient, allowing us to generate ideas that might seem impossible in ordinary situations. Interestingly, creativity is not limited to artists. Scientists, engineers, teachers, and even athletes use creativity every day. It's the ability to see new possibilities and to approach challenges from fresh perspectives. The brain thrives on this process, growing new connections as we explore new ways of thinking. The brain and intelligence. For centuries, people have tried to understand what intelligence really is. Is it the ability to solve problems, to learn quickly, to adapt to change? Modern science suggests that intelligence is not one single ability, but a combination of many: memory, reasoning, emotional awareness, and creativity all play a role. IQ tests can measure certain aspects of intelligence, but they don't capture the full picture. Emotional intelligence, EQ, for example, reflects how well we understand and manage emotions, both our own and others. People with high EQ tend to have stronger relationships, better leadership skills, and more resilience in stressful situations. Brain imaging studies have shown that intelligent behavior is not limited to one area of the brain, but depends on how efficiently different regions communicate with each other. This network efficiency helps explain why people with similar brain sizes can have very different levels of intelligence and problem-solving ability. Emotions and decision-making. Although we often think of emotions as irrational, they play a critical role in decision-making. The brain's amygdala evaluates threats and rewards, while the prefrontal cortex, the logical part of the brain, balances these impulses with reason. Without emotion, humans would struggle to make even the simplest decisions. Studies on patients with brain damage in emotional centers have shown that they can analyze facts perfectly, but cannot choose between options. This suggests that emotion gives meaning and motivation to our choices. In other words, reason and emotion are not enemies, they are partners. The subconscious mind. Much of what the brain does happens below the level of consciousness. Breathing, heartbeat, reflexes, and even many thoughts occur automatically without our awareness. The subconscious mind stores habits, learned behaviors, and emotional patterns. For example, when you drive a car or type on a keyboard, you don't consciously think about every movement. Your brain has automated those actions, freeing your conscious mind for other tasks. This ability to form habits is powerful. It helps us learn efficiently, but can also make it difficult to break negative patterns. By becoming aware of how the subconscious influences behavior, we can use techniques like mindfulness or cognitive training to change thought patterns and improve mental well-being. The brain under stress. Modern life puts enormous pressure on the human brain. Constant notifications, multitasking, and information overload can exhaust mental resources. Chronic stress affects the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and learning, and can lead to burnout or depression. However, the brain is also capable of healing itself. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, regular exercise, and spending time in nature have been shown to lower stress and increase the production of neurochemicals that promote calmness and clarity. Even something as simple as laughter or listening to music can have measurable effects on brain health. Brain disorders and mental health. Understanding the brain also helps us understand mental illness. Conditions like depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and Alzheimer's disease are not just emotional or behavioral problems. They involve real biological changes in the brain's chemistry and structure. Scientists are discovering how neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine affect mood and motivation. Advanced brain imaging can now show how these chemicals behave differently in people with various mental health conditions. The more we learn, the closer we come to developing treatments that restore balance without side effects. At the same time, society's attitude toward mental health is changing. More people are beginning to see it not as a weakness, but as a natural part of being human, something that deserves understanding, compassion, and support. The future of brain research. The future of neuroscience is full of promise. Scientists are already mapping every neuron in the brain, a project called the Human Connectome. This enormous task aims to understand how all regions of the brain are linked and how these connections produce consciousness, behavior, and thought. Technology is also transforming how we study the brain. Brain-computer interfaces allow direct communication between the brain and machines. They can help people with paralysis control robotic limbs, computers, or even type using only their thoughts. In the future, BCIs could enhance human memory, allow telepathic communication, or merge human intelligence with artificial intelligence. Neuroprosthetics are already helping restore vision and hearing, while neurostimulation techniques like transcranial magnetic stimulation can treat depression by activating specific brain regions. As these technologies evolve, ethical questions will become increasingly important. Ethics and the brain. If we can enhance the brain, should we? What happens if technology allows people to increase their intelligence or erase unwanted memories? Who controls this power? These are the moral challenges of the coming decades. Neuroscientists and ethicists are working together to ensure that brain technologies are used responsibly to heal, not to manipulate. Just as medicine and genetics have had to face questions about privacy and consent, brain science must also protect the most personal aspect of all, the human mind itself. The brain's infinite potential. Despite centuries of research, the brain remains one of the greatest mysteries of the universe. It gives us the power to dream, to love, to create, to discover, and to understand. It holds both our fears and our hopes, our logic and our imagination. Perhaps the most amazing secret of the human brain is that it is constantly rewriting itself, reshaping who we are with every experience, every emotion, and every thought. The more we learn about the brain, the more we realize how limitless it truly is. And maybe, in understanding it, we will not only unlock the secrets of the mind, but also discover what it truly means to be human.